when I, I would always say like, yeah, the story's about a fat queer dyke. And then now when it went to press, like with, marketing and stuff, it was like, it's always self-identified, because it was like, she says this about herself. And it's funny because like, once I started using the word to define myself, that people that love me like, you're not fat. I'm like, oh my God,
Tell me, so when did you meet Tim Mason, your co-creator on this series?
Yeah, so Mason and I have known each other for probably 22 years because I joined an improv team called Sirens that his now wife is on. They were dating at the time, Erin McAvoy. And so as long as I've known Erin, I've known Tim. And we were talking about working on some videos that I would write and he would direct so we could both work on that stuff. And he came to the show, so I did a storytelling show called Work in Progress in 2016 at the IO Theater. And so we had met the week before about something else, and we met, the week after, and he's like, why don't we just write a TV show based on your storytelling? And I was like, the dream come true. I've always wanted to do it. I always wanted to work with somebody and collaborate, but I'm not going to go up to somebody. And there's so many talented people here in Chicago. Like it's overwhelming, but you can't, and there's so many people that I'd love to work with, but I could never imagine going, hey, do you want to spend all this time and energy about a story about me? So when he came, he's like, let's do this. I'm like, yeah. So that's how that came about.
This bitch at work knows I've been fluctuating weight-wise. So she's like, I went to Costco and got you almonds.
One of the best things and like delicate things in the series is the way that we empathize with Abby's mental illness, but we are not blind to the ruinous effects of her mental illness. For instance, I was shocked into silence by the no one will ever feel as bad as you do.
Why did you do that?
I wanted you to feel as broken as I feel.
Abby, no one will ever feel as broken as you do.
I think I paused it and like took a walk around the block because when you're in depression, it is very self-involved. It is a very self-involved disease by its nature because it forces you away from everyone and forces you into yourself. And while we are empathetic to that, it's still shitty to everyone around you. So how was it depicting that? Like, how was it finding that balance between we feel bad, but you suck? Like,
right. It's so funny. When we were shooting, I was like, I would never say this. It's like, okay, it's TV. Like, it's okay. I think I'm very aware, and I think just because, people have been around me my life, how hard it is to be around somebody who is struggling with mental illness. And it's very hard. And I think knowing that it's like, I don't know, I think it's a good thing to keep in mind. And then also, I think it's important to show and keep in mind that whether or not you're the one struggling and like super anxious and can't get out of bed, it's just like, it's not easy to be on the other side and see someone that you love struggling. And I think there is a disconnect. Like, well, if you just did this, you'd feel better. And I'm like, I fucking know that if I took a walk every day and drank water all the time and I know what would make me feel better. I'm saying I cannot do it. And that is, even saying that is like, that is frustrating to be around.
Oh yeah.
I'm on the other side of it. Right. So I don't know. I just want to show like it's not just one-sided.
So the inclusion of Julia Sweeney and her character Pat is so central to the series. How did you get her involved?
Hi, Abby. I'm Julia. Oh.
We simply asked her. It was funny because she was living in the North Shore at the time, and there was a story, in my storytelling show where I talked about how, Julia Sweeney ruined my life. obviously hyperbolic or tongue-in-cheek, whatever. And then Tim was like, well, Julia could be a character. I was like, but we don't know her. She's like, well, she lives up. I mean, let's just write it and then we'll ask her. And then we kind of kept on putting it off. And then we got our money together because we self-funded the pilot. And then we're like, ooh, we're shooting in a month. We should probably reach out. So we reached out and told her what the concept was, introduced ourselves. And she's like, yeah. She was so generous and absolutely open, and never once was like, oh, don't have Abby say that to me. It was never like, she was precious about it. And I loved Pat when Pat came out. I was like howling, like I loved Pat.
Sure.
And when I started hating Pat was when these lovely folks in our society you started using it as a weapon to hurt me, to judge me about my appearance and my gender representation. And it wasn't just frat guys, it was lesbians in a lesbian bar where I should feel safe.
I also, the show deals a lot with gender nonconformity. And I think that bathroom scene was a nightmare scene for anyone who was in that place.
Excuse me, this is the women's room.
I know.
Oh, it is?
There are 3 men in the ladies' room.
Can you talk through how that sort of unfolded, like in the room and as you wrote it?
So when we were like writing, it was episode 4, and it did become like we ended up calling it, like we didn't really have bottle episodes, but that was a bottle episode. It was like the bathroom episode, and we wanted to show how terrifying it is for a gender nonconforming person to use a facility that every human being needs to use, and then Tim was the one who was like the finale of that episode could be that's just like this bonkers thing, like all nightmares come, every nightmare comes. And when Abby's like, nobody's life could be harder than me, and then the lovely wonderful actor who comes out uses a wheelchair, and then like I say, oh, but my life, well, clearly people feel sorry for you. I mean, like, it's just, Abby is being horrible, and then even more horrible, It's a comedy, it's a dark comedy, but we also like, this is real pain and real fear.